All right, guys, get out your notebook. We're going to turn to the first page, which is the table of contents. I'm going to add to it. So we're going to do the last learning target of Unit 3. All right, so in Unit 3, our last learning target is going to be learning target 3D. 3D. I can solve quadratic equations by factoring. That's going on page 14. It's going on page 14 in our notes. So learning target 3D, I can solve quadratic equations by factoring, page 14 in our notes. All right, remember the rules. If I write it, you write it. Your notebook should match my notebook. All right, hit pause when you need to. The first 3 pages of our notebook, 1, 2, 3, are all for the table of contents, right? Because we keep adding to it, and then we start page 1 of our notes. Remember, I do not write on the back of my pages. The back stays blank. I come over here and write. The last set of notes we took was on page 13. So now we're going to go to page 14. So we're going to go to page 14, and I have a lot of stuff pre-written. That means you're going to have to hit pause in order to write all of this down. Here we go. Learning target 3D. I can solve quadratic equations by factoring, and there are some steps to do it. All right, so first thing, define quadratic solutions. So now we're solving. We're not just finding factors. We're actually solving equations, which means we're going to have some equal signs in order to make them equations. All right, so before we just had expressions, right? They look like this. There was no equal sign. There was nothing on the right-hand side. But now we're switching to equations instead of expressions. Now, there are a couple names for solutions. So define quadratic solutions. Notice I say solutions. 2, because it's x squared, which means it's quadratic. That means there are 2 solutions. We've talked about that before in class, but now you're going to see it. Another name for quadratic solutions is roots. So you might get a question that says, find the roots to this quadratic equation. It just means find the solutions. Another way to call, another name to call solutions is zeros. So quadratic equations have roots, zeros, or solutions, and they're all through the same thing. So that is a little bit of vocabulary for you. All right, let me underline this in red so you know that these are some vocabulary words. All right, so to find quadratic solutions /roots/zeros by factoring, step 1, set the equation equal to 0. So if I look down here in this first example, it is already set to 0. So we have a whole bunch of stuff over here. We have the equal sign, we have 0. It's very important that you put it in this format, okay? Step 2, factor the left side. So let's come down to this equation here. We've already done step 1, so now step 2, factor. So I have x squared plus 4x plus 3. Draw my little x. I'm going to put 3 in the top, put 4 in the bottom. Factors of 3, there are only 2 factors of 3. 3 is a prime number. It's just 1 times 3, right? 1 times 3 is 3, 1 plus 3 is 4. So what are my factors? My factors are going to be x plus 1 and x plus 3. We're going to set that equal to 0. So instead of writing the equation, we're going to write it as its factors, a product of its factors. All right, good. Step 3, set each factor equal to 0 and solve. So what you're going to do now is we're going to set each factor equal to 0. So I have x plus 1 equals 0. Now we're going to solve. So x plus 1 equals 0. I subtract 1 from both sides. Bring down the x equals 0. Take away 1 is negative 1. So that is my first solution. So again, we're not dealing with factors. These are factors, right? Now I have a solution. So one of the solutions is x equals negative 1. All right, moving on. I got to factor each factor, right? I got to solve for each factor. So let's see, this is x plus 3. So we're going to make x plus 3 equal to 0. Subtract 3 from both sides. I get x equals 0. Take away 3 is negative 3. So now I have 2 solutions. I have 2 roots. I have 2 zeros. The reason they're called zeros is because we set them equal to 0. What is x when it's equal to 0 kind of thing. All right, so now step 4, write your answer using curly braces. What does that mean? Well, my answer is x equals -1 and x equals -3. And so one of the notations we would use would be x equals, and you draw the little curly bracket things, -1, -3. So if you put -1 into this original equation, it would give you it would be a solution. It would solve. It would work. And then if you put -3 in for x, it would also work. All right, because it's quadratic, it's x squared, there are 2 solutions, 2 different ones here, -1 and -3. So that's all we're doing. So let's do another one. Let's do another example. Example number 2. I have x squared equals 18x minus 81. 18x minus 81. All right, so step 1, we come back up to our notes here. Step 1, set the equation equal to 0. That means I need this side to be 0. I have 2 things over here. I got to move them over there. Do you remember you have to do the opposite to move something across the equal sign? Excuse me. All right, so the first thing I'm going to move is my face close to a tissue. Hold, please. Goodness. All right. I think the classroom is dusty, guys. Okay. So I'm going to move this 18x over here. So I'm going to subtract 18x from both sides. When I do that, this goes away, right? And I'm left with just -81 on this side. So just -81 on this side. But then on this side, what do I have? Well, this is x squared, and this is x. They are not like, so we don't combine them. We just write them next to each other. So I have x squared minus 18x. All right, but I still don't have 0 over here. I still don't have 0, so I want to get rid of this -81. So I'm going to add 81 to both sides. I'm going to add 81 to this side of the equal sign as well. So this goes away because -81 plus 81 is 0. That's what I want. I want 0. So good. And then on this side, I've got x squared minus 18x plus 81. So I'm going to write x squared minus 18x plus 81. Good. So now we have set it equal to 0. So we moved everything over to the right-hand side. I'm sorry, the left-hand side. The right-hand side is 0. Good. So step 2, factor the left side. Factor the left side. So I have x squared minus 18x plus 81. Let's factor 81, -18. Ooh, factors of 81. There's a few. Oh, 9, right? 9 times 9. So 9 times 9 is 81. And 9 plus 9 is 18, but I need it to be -18. All right, so now I got my factors. My factors are going to be -9, -9. So let's see, let's write that. So that's x minus 9 times x minus 9 equals 0. So I got x minus 9 equals 0. Good. All right, step 3, set each factor equal to 0. Come over here and solve. So I'm going to set each factor equals 0. So I have x minus 9. So x minus 9 equals 0. How do I solve for x? Gotta add 9, right? Add 9 to both sides. That gives me x equals positive 9. Good. And look, this is the same, right? X minus 9. So that's going to give me x equals 9 again, right? I'm not going to solve that again. So here are my 2 factors. They're the same. So when I write my answer for this one, for number 2, when I write my answer, I'm just going to write x equals curly bracket 9. Because I'm not going to write 9 twice. All right, one more just because. All right, so I'm going to turn to page 15 in my notes. Remember, if you're not getting this all written down, then you need to hit pause and write this down. All right, next page, page 15. There we go, page 15. All right, last example, example number 3. let's see, 6x squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. So 6x squared minus x minus 2 equals 0. Okay, so step 1 is done. Good. I've set the whole equation equal to 0, so that's good. Step 2, factor the left side. So let's factor. Let's see. Ooh, I can't, right? There's a front number. Darn it. All right, let's slip it to the back. So that gives me, what is that, x squared minus x minus 12 equals 0. So now I have this. Okay, great. Let's see. Factors of negative 12. Oops, negative 12. Factors of negative 12 that add up to negative 1. That's a negative 1. Ooh, factors of negative 12 that add up to negative 1. 3 and 4? Do we use 3 and 4? I think so. Right? 3 and 4.
Joanna Vargas, please come to the front office. Joanna Vargas, please come to the front office.
All right. So 3 times negative 4 is negative 12, and 3 plus negative 4 is negative 1. So those are my factors. So let me write that. I'm going to have x plus 3 times x minus 4, all equal to 0. Now, I'm just going to set each of these. I'm going to set each of these equal to 0. So I'm going to say x plus 3 equals 0. Oh, oops, what did Miss Hunter forget? My bad. I got real excited, but I did some magic math, didn't I? Hold, please. I did some magic math. Those are not the factors. Those are not the factors. I forgot to divide by 6. All right. Ooh, it's a simplifying one. It's a simplifying one. So this becomes x plus 1/2, right? And this becomes x minus 2/3. Ooh, slide them up, slide them up. 2x plus 1.
Nancy Yanelli.
Slide it up.
Please come to the main office. Yancy Yanelli. Please come to the main office.
All right, so here are my factors. These are my factors. Ooh, almost made a big mistake. See, the teacher does it too. All right, so 2x plus 1 and 3x minus 2. Set those equal to 0. Ooh, that's different. 2x plus 1 equals 0. Subtract 1, gives me 2x equals negative 1. Ooh, divide by 2, that gives me x equals negative 1/2. Over here, I've got 3x minus 2 equals 0. Add 2, that gives me 3x equals 2. Divide by 3, that gives me x equals, that's a fraction, or a decimal, so 2/3. So these are my solutions. Write them with the curly brackets. X is equal to negative 1/2 and positive 2/3. Those are the two solutions to that quadratic equation. All right, if I wrote it, you write it. Make sure you submit a picture of your notes so that you get credit.